The story of the Israelite people coming out of the slavery in Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, arriving at Mount Sinai, receiving the law from God to actually become the nation of Israel, and then journeying to the land of Canaan is such an interesting one. Buried inside of this entire story are little pieces of information that reveal to us the nature of who God is, the way that He designed humans in this world to work, and what He ultimately wanted for us, and how He makes provision to help us in all of our weaknesses. So there's a story in Numbers chapter 10 where the people of Israel are ready to leave again and begin their journey. And in chapter 10, verse 35, there's a really interesting part of the story that describes the direction they received when they were walking on their way to Canaan. It goes like this. It says in verse 33, "So they set out from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey. And the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them 3 days' journey to seek out a resting place for them. And the cloud of the Lord was over them by day whenever they set out from the camp. And whenever the ark set out, Moses said, 'Arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you.' And when it rested, he said, 'Return, O Lord, to the 10,000 thousands of Israel.'" So just so we're all on the same page, the Ark of the Covenant was this box that carried the law of God, the covenant that God made with His people. And it was a beautiful box. It had all these intricate details. And on top of the box was called the hilasterion, the mercy seat, where the blood would have to be sprinkled so that when God looked down, He would see the blood and then remember the covenant that was inside. And there were some other parts of that, but the gist is basically it was the thing that carried the covenant between God and His people, the vessel. And when they would travel, they would send that Ark of the Covenant in front of them a few days ahead so that the Ark would then locate the place where they should then come and settle and find rest. They trusted that God made a covenant with them, and they would send that covenant out to see where God had blessed for them to rest. And then when that covenant would go out, when the Ark of the Covenant would go out, Moses would say, "Go out there, destroy the enemies, make them flee." And when it would come to rest, he would say, "Oh Lord, return to our people and be with us." Well, what's so interesting for us if we think over into our day and age in the New Testament time, the Ark of the Covenant, the vessel that carries the covenant, is not a box anymore, but a person. It's Jesus. He is the covenant. He is the Ark of the Covenant. And there we see from the very time in which the Israelites were journeying to Canaan, the ark going out in front of God's people to find a place where they could rest. And as you think of the life of Jesus, that's really how it worked. He went out in front of us. And in His going out in front of us, when He went to the cross as a perfect, sinless sacrifice, He gave us the rest that He had earned. He had rest in His soul. There was no disconnect with His Father. And He gave that to us by going out in front of us. And as He found that place to rest and we joined Him there, and all of our enemies were dispelled, because that's what He did when He went in front of us. The Lord dispelled all our enemies, and we could follow that ark to the place where we rest. Upon arriving with Him, the ark of our own covenant, as we find our life inside of Him, the one who keeps us safe, the one who brings that covenant to us, we have our new Moses, Jesus, saying, "Lord, return and be here with your people." You see, it's in Jesus that we don't just have our enemies defeated. It's in Jesus that we don't just have a forerunner going ahead of us to make our way for us. It's in Jesus that we actually find our rest and the full presence of God with us here and now, making us long for ultimate eternity. That, in a nutshell, is a reason to worship God. Here in just a moment, we're going to sing a collection of songs, and my encouragement to you would be that as we sing these songs, that you would worship God, not just because you think you're supposed to sing, but because it would be a response to the things that God has done for us. Sure hope that you enjoy these songs and you can pour your heart out to the Lord.
Peace, perfect peace, in this dark world of sin. The blood of Jesus whispers peace within.
So as we bring to a conclusion this time together in song and in thought about Jesus being our covenant and our bringer of peace, I want to encourage you to be a Christian if you're not. That you should think seriously about what Jesus has done for you and what he offers to you. And if that's not something you fully understand, or if that's not something that you've ever really learned, we want you to reach out to us. Our contact information is available just below this video. And you can find ways to get a hold of us, and we'll study the Bible with you to help you learn what it means to be a Christian. And if you are a Christian, but you don't have rest of the soul, and you don't have gratitude in your heart, and you don't really have what you believe to be the presence of God in your life, also reach out to us. We want you to walk this life with the presence of God and the rest of Jesus Christ. He said in Matthew chapter 11, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest." If you're worn out, it's time to come back to Jesus.